But I feel sorry for Ivan Toney because there's nothing more he can do. He looks the part. We all know he's a great player. He gives England a different option. We're only going with 2 number 9s. Every single reason you can think of as to why he should be on that plane. Gareth Southgate has looked at all of those reasons and ignored them all. And I don't want to go in for Southgate because, we've got a World Cup around the corner and I like the squad he's picked, actually. I love the fact James Maddison's finally in excess. But I do think not picking Ivan Toney is a massive mistake.
Well, he's in form. He's playing really well. I remember us talking last season when Harry Kane went up to the Etihad and put in that performance. And some people were saying, is that one of the greatest centre-forward performances we've seen from a centre-forward up at Manchester City? Remember when Spurs beat him 3-2, Kane scored 2.
And one of them he got the ball from really deep, spun and flicked it out wide to Son. Yeah.
Ivan Toney's performance at the weekend weren't far off that. He did absolutely everything. He held the ball up for his team. He probably could have scored more goals, if anything. If you want to be overly critical, it was probably the chances that he missed. But, he was a threat. He was strong. He brought others into play. He led the team. He won free kicks when he had to. And the fact that he's not going, he should feel aggrieved because he's got 10 goals this season. He hit 12 all of last season. He's got 10 already in 14 games this season. He does give you something different, but more importantly than that, he's a goal scorer. And he's in good form. He's not someone where you go, do I take him off past reputation and what he's done? If we're talking right now, only him, Harry Kane, and Callum Wilson, they're the 3 that are in the best form. Callum Wilson's playing really well as well. But Ivan Toney with that kind of showpiece performance against Manchester City at the weekend was top class. Do
you think if Southgate had to name the squad today, it would be any different?
No, I don't. This is Gareth Southgate we're talking about because he even alluded to the fact that he called up Ivan Toney in the last squad because Callum Wilson wasn't fit. He's like, we looked at Callum wasn't quite ready, so we decided to call up Ivan Toney. So that told me from then he was going to pick Callum Wilson. But all Ivan Toney can keep doing is doing exactly what he did against Manchester City, scoring goals, playing well, being a real threat, and hopefully he'll get his opportunity. But it's heart-wrenching. It's gutting for him that he's missed out on this opportunity when he's in great form.
Yeah. I just wonder, it's a gamble, isn't it, going into a major tournament, a World Cup with 2 number 9s, isn't it?
It is a gamble, but it's almost like Gareth has thought to himself, you know what? Because I don't think there's even any guarantee that if something happened to Harry Kane, he would play Callum Wilson. It would not surprise me one bit if he went with a false 9.
Yeah, I've said that before, Sterling.
Yeah, Sterling. And you think, well, hold on a second.
Even Foden.
But he'd probably go Rashford, wouldn't he? He'd probably go Rashford down the middle.
Yeah, maybe.
So listen.
But I just think Ivan Toney will scare defenders, will bully them.
Do you know what I do like though? I like Thomas Frank backing him to the absolute hilt. Everything that he says about Ivan Toney is positive, fantastic, brilliant. Gareth Southgate doesn't really know what he's doing, not picking Ivan Toney. I love that because as you know, you've threw it in my face. I don't know how many times I've been in that situation before, and I've had managers backing me. I remember Alan Kirby backing me to the hilt the first time around when it didn't happen. Steve Bruce the second time. But Thomas Frank is every time and what I like about Thomas Frank, even when they're not asking him about England, he's bringing it up, making people aware that Ivan Toney should be in the squad. Let's
have a listen to the Brentford boss show. This is Thomas Frank. He spoke after that game. Actually, he was full of praise for his striker. On the week, of course, he was dropped from Gareth Southgate's England World Cup squad.
What a player! Honestly, what a player! And it's not to say, I know it'll be a big story about the World Cup squad and so on. We never know, hopefully, because I believe that Gareth have picked a team he thinks is the strongest squad, of course. We all do that, coaches, even that some of you don't think that. We try to pick the best team for what we believe in. But if he get an injury to one of the forward players, I hope he will think about Ivan, because I think he definitely proved that this was a game where we were playing against the best team in the world, and we're scoring 2 goals, and he's scoring 2 goals. And I think people are defined how they respond to setbacks, and a major setback, and then you can either feel sorry for yourself or you can respond back and put a top performance out there.
That was, of course, the Brentford boss Thomas Frank talking about Ivan Toney's admission from that England World Cup squad. He posted a picture showing the pose that you did with the hands over the ears and so on, and then Reece James put underneath it on Instagram, "If I speak, I'm in big trouble." We know what he wants to say. He sort of alluded to it on his own post late last week. What does that tell you about what Reece James is still feeling about the fact that he's not included in that squad?
Because in Reece James's head, he's fit. He's probably worked as hard as he's had to work to get himself ready for this World Cup, and Gareth has not selected him. There's probably a conversation. There would have been a conversation at the very start when he got the injury, and they would have said how time frames, and I think he'd be ready by maybe the last game in the group stages, maybe potentially the last round of last 16.
If you're the England manager and you've got a player like Reece James, who we both think is fantastic, and you know that he won't be fit, let's just say for his opposition for any group game, but he will, and he'll be fresh for the knockout stages, would you pick a player on those grounds?
Well, it's difficult because you've got Kyle Walker in the same boat, so you can't carry both. So you can carry one, and if that's how it comes down to, then I've said it before. I even though Reece James is fantastic, Kyle Walker is vital to that England backline. So I don't think you can go into this World Cup with both of them crocked. I think you need to take a risk on one, but make sure the rest are fit. So, but Reece James, he's angry. He feels like he's done everything he can to get himself ready. He feels he would have been ready by the time the tournament finished. But the fact Gareth hasn't picked him has annoyed him.
We'll take your calls on all things Ivan Toney. I would imagine everyone. Listen, football divides people. I know that. Even when you talk about Harry Kane, it's ridiculous. But I would imagine that most people listening to this will think taking Ivan Toney is the right thing to do. Would you agree with that?
Over who or with Callum?
Just with.
I was going to say because
I think
Callum
we need 3 number 9s.
has been brilliant this year.
I 100% would
brilliant
leave
this
him in.
year.
I totally agree. But I think we need 3 number 9. I think a squad with those 3 would excite me, because I know if one's injured, we got one of the other 2 to come in, and also you need options. 75 minutes on the clock, you need a goal. If you've got Ivan Toney on the bench coming up.
talkSPORT Drive with Andy Goldstein, Monday to Friday afternoon from 4 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.